You are now listening to the Electric Dreamz Podcast.
Oh, I know that you'll be fine.
What's going on, guys? SUGA BROWN here. Welcome back to Electric Dreamz Podcast. My next guest, phenomenal man, phenomenal producer, just great guy in general, man. It was such a privilege to talk to him and sit down and just talk about music and life in general. Unfortunately, my computer, I don't know what, it was some technical difficulties, so I only got the first half of the interview. But, you know what I mean, like, overall, the first half is even great. It's almost the same thing as the second half. It's like, so we're probably gonna have to reschedule like another time to do another half of it, because honestly, the second half was it was awesome too. Like, the first half of this is like genius gold, and the second half it was phenomenal too. So unfortunately, I only got a little bit of it, so but overall it was a great interview. It was such a pleasure to have this guy sit down and talk to me, and I want to introduce you to EKONOVAH, and this is how the interview went. All right, guys, welcome to Electric Dreamz Podcast. Got a special guest with me, EKONOVAH. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks so much for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Dude, no, thank you, man. Appreciate it so much. From watching you at Space, just seeing you at social media, it's like incredible how much you growth. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like, just like all the songs that like Medicine, and then from like the latest Elusive. It's honestly, just being a bystander is just amazing experience just to see this, man. Honestly, like, what's going on in your mind, man, with all this like fast paced movement?
Thanks for saying that. I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah, things are fast paced now more than ever. That's for sure. People are working harder than ever before. Music in the industry, all we're hit the ground back, and we're in. So I'm just trying to do a part work as hard as I can and start making the best they can in this quarantine. Yeah, no, I think it's very important for people to keep going. I know right now it could be rough. What like for you, like at this moment of quarantine, do you feel like in the beginning of it, was it kind of nerve-wracking, or what's going through your mind through all this? At the beginning, I wasn't scared. I was aware of what was going on, but I was like, it's like not a big deal. Mm-hmm. I was like, it won't like affect me, like in my community. But of course, now we see what has happened over the last month, over the last 2-3 months, and yeah, it's really rattling. Just affecting communities that like I'm friends with, like in LA. Yeah, I know people who, like, people in their neighborhoods are starting to contract it, which is just wild to me. It's just like, this is the kind of thing that you see in a sci-fi movie, but it's coming true. But yeah, I'm just trying to stay positive, aim all that positive energy into music. I've been writing more lyrics than ever before. I've been writing much more, in my opinion, developed songs with more soul and emotion than I've ever written before. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that's due to the pandemic that we're dealing with, just how it's been affecting my state of mind. Yeah, no, it's good. So I'm just trying to make the best I do. Yeah, and I totally agree that, even though it is a hardship right now, but this is the point that you can take advantage of it and just kind of like, it's almost practice, because like, think about it, we were talking before about the tour life. I mean, not saying this quarantine's the same feeling, but it could be. You feel lonely sometimes and all that. Like, how do you adapt with that, with the whole tour life? I guess I'm pretty lucky because I'm pretty shy and reserved to begin with. I'm definitely very introverted, mm-hmm. So I kind of have an upper hand against my fellow DJs who are extroverted, and they're touring and they're going through all that, which must be harder if you're extroverted. But for me, since I'm already pretty accustomed to be by myself, mm-hmm. Quarantine life has not been that big of a shift, really. It's the biggest pill to swallow is just what's happening around me. Not so much my own shift in my own life, but just like what's happening to like our neighbors, which is it's just wild what's happening right now.
Yeah, it's sad. It's almost kind of like you appreciate the moments that you do have currently. You know what I mean? You kind of like, oh man, I don't know. Do you feel like some people kind of take for granted for what they have at this moment?
I think most of us, if not all of us, are looking through things with a different lens now. I think a different perspective has been achieved, and just such simple things that we just like a handshake. Like after all this, I don't know how willing I'm going to be just to shake some stranger's hand. You know, it's just like things are changing. My perspectives on things are changing, which is a great source for music, but. Yeah, I'm just really excited for everything to be back to mostly the way it was, just for everyone to be back and everyone to feel that collective energy again real soon. What's the first thing you're going to do once this quarantine is over? Is there like a restaurant you want to go to, or like, a good place that, you know what I mean? what's the first thing? It totally is. There's this really good spot in downtown Phoenix called Taco Guild. They got the best tacos. They got the best sauces. But they bring out these chips with four different salsas, different flavors. I can't wait to go back. It's so cool. Oh my god, that sounds so good right now. Like tacos and like spicy like salsa and all that. Ooh. Man, you're telling me that's my favorite food, tacos. At least it's in my like top 2, top 3. I love tacos. Yeah, you can live without. If someone was like your last meal before everything ends, what would it be? Tacos for sure. Taco platter. Yeah, that's so cool. And I'm not the best cook when it comes to tacos specifically. Yeah. So I'm definitely missing. I haven't gotten my taco fix in a while. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you gotta get that taco fix, man. Myself. You know, it'd be cool. Such an event is like a Taco Tuesday, but like it's like a whole barbecue, someone's backyard. Like there's like a deck, there's a set up there. Everybody's like jamming. It kind of be kind of cool, like EKONOVAH's Taco Tuesdays or something like that at like Shady Park or something like that. Dude, I would be so into that. I would be so, and strictly because of my love for tacos. Yeah, dude, that'd be so cool. I can make horchata and stuff, and just like it'd be so cool. It'd be so interesting like that, because it's like, especially when all doors are open, it's like let's all get together, eat tacos, just like enjoy the music and stuff. And that'd be kind of cool, man. Freaking what do you think about the scene in Phoenix? Because like I've been to Shady Park and I'm like, who's that guy? Like I feel like Phoenix has so many underground, like, good gems in there. It's like, what is going, like, how do you feel about the Phoenix scene? I am so happy that I live where I live. Mm-hmm. The scene is so vibrant. The people are so passionate about the music. In other cities and other scenes, people are there for other reasons, whether for status or just to party or other things. But when it comes to the Phoenix scene, people really care. People really care about the music. People really care about each other. And it's a really great environment to be around. I've never really totally identified myself like in the actual scene. Like I've never been like a candy raver like everyone else. And like going to desert raves when they were younger and getting their taste that way. My first experience in the scene at all, I was 14 and my parents drove me to this gig that I was playing. Whoa. And they insisted that they had to be, actually I think I was maybe 16, but they insisted, which is embarrassing, but they insisted they had to be there in order for me to play the gig. So my parents were there and they chaperoned, and of course the scene was still new to me as it was to them, especially to them. Yeah. It's just, I just can't wait to be back in things. I'm so grateful for the scene that we have here in Phoenix, and to watch how it's progressed over the last like 5 or 6 years. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it was really bass heavy, and I love dubstep. I like bass music a lot, so I wasn't really. I can't say I was really complaining, but to watch how it's turned into how the love for house music has really blossomed here, I'm really fortunate, because I could potentially live in another scene where house music doesn't get a lot of love, and that could affect my career. So I'm really happy that Phoenix is a house music a house music city.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, how progressive it's changed. You know, like what you say, it was bass, and now it's like house, and now, you know, tech house. It's just like, it's very progressive, which is really cool, especially like with the style you make. I think it's a very unique style. Like, it's like we were talking about it earlier, how like you have inspirations of like when you were first starting out, you're making dubstep, you were trying to learn how to make dubstep, and then like progressive and stuff, and it's like, you know what I mean, like it's crazy how like you progress from what you are, like going back to like being when you're 14, 13, which is nuts that you that you performed and your parents had to be there. It's just such a cool, I can't imagine being a 14-year-old and DJing in front of like 20, even if it's like small, 20 people would be amazing.
It was small for sure, but I'll never forget it. I still remember the date. It was January 24th. Like that's how important it was.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's a good experience, because it's like, it's for me, people need to hear this, especially younger crowd, like younger DJs, inspiring producers that are, dude, I feel like the younger producers right now are just like insane. They're learning so fast. They're so like, it's just like you think you can figure out something, and then all of a sudden they have it already done.
Yeah, a lot of that I think has to do just because younger generations are inherently better with technology, and they kind of do it through a different lens. So they have a bit more of a stronger intuition, but also the fact that there's so many resources that are readily available, even free resources like never before. So if you have any bit of interest in music production, you can find a limitless pool of videos on YouTube about basically any topic when it comes to production. Whereas 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when I was starting out, I didn't have that. Like, that was still starting to become this new sphere on the internet that didn't really have its footing yet. And then you look back before then, and if you kind of look at this trajectory, younger faces are really starting to become more present. Like back in the trance days, like you have the Tiestos, Armin van Buuren's, guys in this sphere, and they're like already a bit older than, or maybe about the same age, but maybe just a little older than the scene that we're seeing now. So these up and comers that are starting to rise to the top, I think that age is going to continue to decrease as technology and resources start to become more available, which is so cool.
Yeah. Well,
I'm also jealous of it.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of nuts. Yeah, because it's like, damn, I wish I had the internet back then. And it's like, because you can make a killing. And speak about, tutorials and stuff. You do your own instructional course through the Artist Path, correct?
Yes, I do. I've been teaching for like the last 5 years. So yeah, I've really loved teaching. Actually, one of my professors from college just had me on a Zoom call, and I taught her class of like 20 students via Zoom, which is super cool. I definitely have always seen myself as maybe when I'm retired and I'm no longer touring, no longer doing music stuff for EKONOVAH, maybe being a teacher in maybe a university. That'd be really fun for me.
That'd be so cool. Yeah, I usually ask that question. That too, like, what would you do when you retire? But teaching, I think that's a beautiful thing, because it's like you wanna share your thoughts of, or your expertise on other, somebody that can benefit as well, that brought you happiness, so you can teach someone else to have that happiness.
Exactly.
What's the feeling of teaching somebody when they're first starting out? What's like, what goes through your mind? Do you first try to evaluate what their expertise are at, or what their strengths and weaknesses? How does that work?
Yeah, I'll ask them if they know what their strengths and the weaknesses are, and either they're aware of it because they've had some experience, or they're still a little too new to be able to identify it. So I'll ask to hear some of their music, and I can kind of pinpoint the areas that are their weakest and the areas that are their strongest. So then we can just go in immediately and focus on the weaker areas. That way we're not focusing on a criteria, or on criteria that they're already well versed in. And then I also like, if it's a new student or someone who's new to production, I'll go through vocabulary just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, that we're both using the same words. They know the word that they would be using with future collaborators and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very personalized based on where the student needs or feels they need the most help.
How important is the language of when it comes to like production? Is it very important, or what do you think of it as a scale?
It's only important if you think you are going to collaborate or talk about music with other producers, which is almost definitely a yes. If you're only going to be producing by yourself and just doing it for fun, just as a hobby, maybe not. Maybe if you're watching a YouTube tutorial, they're going to use a word that you're not familiar with, so that's a reason to be familiar with the jargon. Or maybe your software has some words that you've never heard before. That's another reason. But for the most part, I would say it's very important, just because when you're talking with your peers, you want to be able to communicate with them on the same level.
Yeah, no, I do agree, because sometimes like when you collab with somebody is like that doesn't really know the language and stuff, it can be a little frustrating, because it's like, not in a negative term, but I mean like because you're like, oh, let's say you describe something and just kind of like they don't understand. Has there been moments when you're starting out, when you're with your career, just learning what to make your sound, were there moments of frustration of trying to get something? Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. There are lots of days in general where you're just not feeling inspired, and you want to feel inspired, but it just isn't there. So you have those days. You have other days where you're like, man, everything I'm putting out just sounds like the top 10 Beatport releases. Like this doesn't sound special at all. Then you have days that are like, wow, I cannot get this kick drum to sound good for the life. There's always something that can go wrong that can be frustrating. I think it's just a matter of showing up, putting your time in, being diligent, and eventually I think your own sound, your own techniques to get your kick drum to sit, and your own techniques to get your own inspiration, I think all that will find its place eventually. That's what's happened to me. I know I've talked with my friends about this before, and they've said that they've had similar stories where everything has fallen into place. It's really just a long road. It takes a long time to finally get to that position.
Yeah. What gets you in a creative moment?
I think I'd have to say listening to music that is just the opposite of what I'm making. Like if I'm going to make house music one day, if I'm going to make a tech house track, then maybe I'm listening to dubstep, or maybe I'm listening to pop, or maybe I'm listening to R&B that day. And that way when I go in to make that tech house tune, I've got these other ideas in my head that otherwise wouldn't be there. So I can kind of borrow from other styles, borrow from different ideas that, in my opinion, I think that really enhances a song. Because a lot of tracks, especially in house music, there's a lot of there's so much what's the word I'm looking for? Homogeny? Everything just sounds so similar.
Yeah.
And at least a lot of it does. And that's good. Like you can make a track that sounds like a Chris Lake tune, and it'll be really good if it sounds like a Chris Lake tune, because Chris Lake is amazing. But Chris Lake is really, really good at being Chris Lake. Yeah. And no one else is going to be as good as being Chris Lake. So I'm always trying not to listen to too much music from house artists, because I don't want to sound like them.
No, I think that's a good point that people need to take too. Like, listening to stuff that's not what you're normally going to make. I love that tip. I definitely use it too. Like if I'm going to try to collab with somebody and I'm feeling some type of way, like lately I've been listening to like Caribbean music just to kind of get the rhythm, because I love the rhythm and stuff. Is there we were talking earlier about how you love 70s music like disco. Do you feel like that comes out on your sets?
I think a lot of 70s styles, a lot of disco has been evident in my sets lately. There's just this certain vibe that I get from disco that I don't get from any other genre that makes me dance like just way more than I would otherwise. Yeah. I think that's important for me to perform, is I have to be in the zone. I have to be like really enjoying the music myself. And sometimes I'm not in the mood for a bass house track. Like I'm just not in the mood for a banger. Like I'm more in the mood for something that has some groove to it, something that'll make the shuffler shuffle. Yeah. Something that's like super hard, So yeah, I've been playing a lot more disco lately.
Is there? I've noticed that like when I saw you at Sound, it's like you seem so control with a crowd. Do you have like when let's say when you prep for a show, how does that process happen? Like, do you have like a certain amount of tracks that you need to have on your in your playlist, or what's the routine for preparing?
Okay, so I like to come in prepared as much as I can. So I'll have a playlist of 150 to 200 tracks or so, just like way more than I'll actually need in a set, just so that I have some cushion. I like to make sure I am hydrated, because the worst thing is DJing with cotton mouth.
Yeah.
That is horrible. And I also like to have some time to myself before I go on stage, just to kind of center as the best I can. If possible, I'll spend even like the whole day before I perform by myself. So, which is pretty easy to do if I'm touring. If I'm playing local shows, so that's a bit harder to do. But if you're going just from hotel to hotel, from Uber to Uber, that's a bit easier. So I've been actually really, really enjoying the process of just like the whole experience of tour life, which I've barely started to get my taste of before the whole coronavirus thing started. But it's been really fun just to be in my own zone, just do what I need to do to get to feel like I'm ready, to feel like I have enough energy to give during a performance. Yeah.
Are you developing right now? You're trying, like, I know right now it's kind of hard because of the quarantine, but like when you were touring, did you try to like have a routine? Like, for instance, you wake up at this time just to kind of prep, or just like eat breakfast? Was there like something you were trying to figure out?
I'm actually not like that at all, because like some flights are like at noon. Some flights, the only flight I could get, because I have like a last minute booking, is like 5 a.m., 6 a.m.
Okay.
So it's hard to get a routine there, because it's kind of a case by case thing. Like today I got to be up at 4 so I can be at the airport by 5 so I can be on the plane by 6. Or other days I have some more time where I'll enjoy the morning to myself and kind of take things a bit slower.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the inevitability of when you're actually in the city that you're playing that night, something's going to go wrong. You're going to get a text from someone saying, hey, like you actually have to go and do this, come to dinner with us this night, or just like something that isn't bad, but just changes the plan.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get that routine set, because there's always something keeping you on your toes, which at first I really had a hard time rolling with the punches and kind of understanding how volatile things could be. Yeah. But I think over time I've done a good job of really coming to not only embrace it, but like actually enjoy it. Like I told my manager a few days ago, we were going to do a live stream, and we didn't have the location quite set, and we thought we had a location to do the stream, and then it was changed to somewhere else like a few hours before, and I told him like this was really good to have the location changed just like a few hours before something happens, just because it felt like normalcy. It was like a really familiar, like fun feeling that I like actually missed.
Yeah. Oh, so you don't get frustrated with that? You don't. You kind of like, it is what it is. You kind of go with it.
I really do my best just to say it is what it is. It's out of my control. There's no point in trying to fight it, because it's not in anyone's control. Especially with this whole Corona thing, like it'd be really easy for me just to pout right now, but that wouldn't be a wise use of my time or my energy, just to be upset.
Yeah. Is there have there been moments of like during your career you do get frustrated and stuff, and like is there kind of like is there a way for you that you kind of snap out of it? You kind of like, like for instance, what does frustrate you when it comes to
I just want music out there, man. I think that's the most frustrating thing. Sometimes you make a song and it's amazing and it's going to do really well. People are going to like it and you're really proud of it. And you send it to 20 labels and they all say, sorry, it's not for us.
Okay.
And then in your head, you're like, but I see it in my head. Like I know what it, like, I know that I have value to give you, the label. Like I know that you would appreciate this record. Mm-hmm. But you got to tell yourself, like, it's okay. That's just not the sound they're going for right now. Because admittedly, a lot of the stuff that I've been sending out has been pretty ambitious, kind of avant-garde sounding stuff, something a little unfamiliar to labels and to what people are listening to. So it's kind of, labels have some risk to take when they sign something that's kind of new sounding. They're taking a risk. So you kind of have to empathize with that and kind of see where they're coming from. And at the end of the day, I know that my music is going to be out there eventually. So that's kind of where I find my solace. Like, if no one's going to take it, if labels are too afraid to sign it, then I know that I'll put it out myself. I'll self-release it, and I know that people will enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I'm hopeful for.
Yeah, because right now I feel like you're building your tribe. Yeah, so unfortunately that's where it cuts off. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know what the hell happened, but you know what I mean? Honestly, the second half was so great too, so I'm going to have to get EKONOVAH back again for part 2 of the podcast, because it was just so good information. But the first half, as you can hear it was just so good information, just about, you know, behind the scenes, just his daily life. You know, he's such a good, humble guy, really nice guy, and you know, you can tell with the music, it's just phenomenal, just totally out of the world. So you mean, honestly, keep an eye on him, because he's definitely gonna blow up. So but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Baby's out. Go check it out. It's on SoundCloud. It's on Spotify. It's on everything. So I'm so pumped how it turned out. And yeah, let me know how you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys on the next podcast.